And so, continuation of our lesson about relations and functions. Our objectives are to find the domain and range of a function, graph linear functions such as the given are domain, range, table of values, intercepts, and slope. Look at the correspondence shown by the diagrams below. So what are the domain and range of a function? Ayan. So look at this first example po muna. Ano dito yung ating ordered pairs? Diba? Ano po yung, what do you think is our x values? What is our x values for this given example po?
A.
A, okay. All the sets on our A po. Those are our x values po. And technically, on our letter set B, sorry, this is our y values po. So if we're going to show their relation po, it will be let's have C, 0, A. Next is 1B. Ayan. Hanapin mo lang yung partner niya. 2B. Next is 3C. And then last one is 4A. Ayan. Diba? So, on our discussion yesterday, we just simply represent their relation po. Diba? Pwedeng from ordered pairs to mapping diagram. Pero this time naman, mapping diagram to ordered pairs naman po. Okay? So, another diagram. Ito din po. Okay? So, from this given po, do you think, is it function or not? Meron po bang, are they both function or merong isang not function po? O, observe carefully our diagram po. Do you think po? Yes po, Dinlasan.
Function po.
Pareho po ba sila?
Yes po.
Okay, very good. So, both function. Okay, thank you as well. Very good as well, Raver. So, they are both function po. How can we identify if the given ordered pairs or the given diagram is a function or not? Paano po? How can we identify if the given diagram or ordered pairs is a function or not? Paano kaya yun? Ano po? Paano po? By simply looking at their x po. Okay? By simply looking at the values of our x. So, in terms of function kasi, di ba, bawal lang maulit yung value ng x natin. Okay lang kahit same sila ng y, as long as magkaiba sila ng x. Katulad nito, same sila ng y, ayan, si 1 and 2 parehong b yung y nila, but different value of x po. Okay, that's why we can still say this, say that this is a function po. Okay, so questions po so far. So wala pa naman. So let's proceed. And for this one po, di ba, si A po is yung ating values of x, di ba? B po is the values of y. So the relation from A to B is the set C. So ito po yung ginawa ko kanina. Pinair-pair ko lang po sila. Ito. So, si Z naman, ito po siya. Okay? So, ayan. So, the domain of a function denoted by D is the set of all possible values of its first coordinates or x values. The range of a function denoted by R is the set of all values of its second coordinates or y values po. When we say domain and range po, pag domain po, those are the x values. Pag sinabing range, those are the y values naman po. Okay? Again, domain X po siya, range Y naman po. Okay? Para hindi tayo malito. So consider the following relations. Give the domain and range of each relation po. Ayan. Like for this one. Sige nga po. Can you give me or can you identify the domain and range of each relation? For this given relation po. Ano kaya ang domain nito? And ano naman kaya ang range? Yes, Chanel.
Yung domain po niya is ano po, 11,753. Habang yung range po is yung 642 po na nasa kabila po.
Okay, very good, Chanel. Exactly. Doon po sa 11,753, those are our domain. Ang range naman po natin is 6, 4, and 2 po. Okay, ganun lang. Ayun lang po yung domain natin. So, if we're going to represent that, ayan, we will be having, ay wait lang. Meron pala ako dito. Para hindi ko na siya isusulat. Ayan. So, ito table of values naman to. So, dito, ganun lang din. Ayan. So, domain ko is 11, 7, 5, and 3. Range ko is 6, 4, and 2. Ang domain ko dito is 1, 5, and 10. Ang range ko is 1 and 5. So, kung napansin nyo, 1 and 5, dalawa lang yung range ko. Kasi po, dalawa naman na po kasi siya. 'Di ba? Same lang yung y nila. Okay? So, kung since same lang naman yung value ng y nila, pwede ko na lang siyang isulat as 1. Okay? Pag-isahin ko na lang sila. Okay po? Questions po on identifying the domain and range. And madali lang siya kapag given is ordered pair, table of values, or mapping diagram po. Madali lang i-identify si domain and range kapag mga ganyang case pa lang. Kung wala pong question, let's proceed. Ayan, study the other examples po. Give the domain and range of each relation. O, for this one po, ano ba ang domain at ano ang range ko? What are my domain and what are my range? For this given example. Anyone po, grade 8? Ano po ang domain at ano ang range ko dito? I want it to hear from, let's have Aliana Reyes. Ano po ang domain ko at ano ang range? Ano po? Identifying of domain and range pa lang po tayo using the diagram. How about the others? Mahirap po ba yung first question ko? By identifying the domain and range po? Ayan, okay. Thank you din, Lasan. So, the domain po is 0, 1, -1, 2, and -2. 'Di ba? Ang domain lang po kasi natin is all the values of x po. And automatically, yung y values po natin is yung range po natin. Okay, which is 0, 1, and 2. Actually, madali pa nga siya kasi mapping diagram na 'yan. What more pa mamaya na kapag meron na tayong mga radical sign and kung ano-ano pang given diyan. 'Di ba? Ayun na yung mas complicated. Dito hindi siya gano'n ka-complicated kasi nga titignan niyo lang siyang mabuti kung alin dito yung x values and ano yung y values for you to identify our domain and range po. Okay? Next po. We have this following ordered pairs po. O ano naman kaya ang domain at ano po ang range ko diyan? O ano po ang mga domain ko at ano ang mga range ko? O ordered pairs, syempre since it is an ordered pair, it is consist of a x and y intercept po. So, syempre, kung sino dyan si X, ayun po yung domain natin. Okay? So, sino yung mga domain natin dyan? O, ilagay po sa chat box yung answer ninyo kung nahihiyang magsalita. Okay, Raver, the range, domain po. Ayan. Piling ko na typo ka lang. Ayan. Domain po, very good. It is 1.5, 2.2, 3.4, 4.3, and 4.5 po. Ayun po yung mga domain natin. And automatically, the remaining ones po is our range naman po. Okay, which is 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5 po. Ayun po yung mga range natin. Okay? Again, domain are the X values. Range naman po are the Y values naman po. Okay? Next. How about this given table of values? Ito pinaka-obvious na to. Kasi andyan na mismo yung word na andyan na mismo yung separation ng X and Y values natin. So, automatic po, ang ating magiging domain ay sina 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for our range po, we have 3. Ayan, all 3. Okay, ayan po yung range natin. Okay po? Question po so far.
None po.
Okay po. So, consider the function. Wait lang, hindi ko siya makita. And consider the function. So, we have the following ordered pairs po. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 8, 3, 27, 4, 64. Find the domain and range of f. So, paano natin na-identify? Siyempre, ayan lang po. Separate lang natin si x and y. Ang domain natin is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ang range po natin is 0, 1, 8, 27, and 64. List all the function values of f. All the function values of f po. So, the function values of f are f of 0. Ayan po. So, saan po nanggaling yung mga yan? So, ito pong mga zero na yan, yung nasa loob po ng parenthesis, is ayan po yung domain po natin. Ayan po yung values of x ko. Na kung saan, if I will substitute it to our given function, yung y po, yung makukuha natin. Di ba ganun po yun? Kapag naghahanap po tayo ng values ni y, syempre, mag-a-assume tayo ng values ni x. 'Di ba? Kasi mahirap i-solve yung value ni y kung wala yung value ng x. Okay? So we have to have the value of our x before we can get the value of our y po. Okay? So ayan po siya, sinubstitute lang. Okay? So if f if our if our x is 1, the value of our y is 1. If the value of our x is 2, the value of our y is 8 po. So, ano ba kasi talaga yung function natin? So, therefore, we can conclude that since the function values are the cubes of the elements in the domain, the function f is given by the set of x and y such that y is equals to x cube po. Paano ko po nalaman na x cube po siya? Saan po nanggaling itong x cube na to? If you're going to observe closely, lahat po sila is cube. Yung nasa range po is cube root siya. I mean, lahat po nung nasa domain is cube root po siya ni range. Okay? Like for this one, start tayo kay 4. Si 4 po, if we're going to get the cube root of this or the cube, if we're going to cube this, 4 4 times 4 times 4 is 64 po. Okay? Which this one. Next po, 3 naman po. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27 po, which is ito din po siya. Okay? Kaya po ako nagkaroon ng x cube dyan. We can conclude that this is our function by simply looking at our domain and range po. Okay? Or we're just going to find the rule to describe the function f po. Questions po so far? Grade 8 questions? Clarifications?
Wala po, ma'am.
Wala po. Okay po. Domain and range of functions represented in graphs. Find the domain and range of a function whose graph is shown. Ayan po. Ayan, pagpasensyaan niyo na pinicturean ko lang talaga yung nasa book na graph. Kasi, ayun, ang hassle kasi kung igagraph ko pa siya, 5 po iyan. Okay? So, kapag po ganito yung nakita niyong graph, how to identify the domain and range po for this one? As you can see po, it is both extended infinitely po. Nakikita niyo po yung arrow on both ends. It means po it is from positive infinity up to the negative infinity. Okay? Or pwede natin siyang isulat as x such that x is an element of all real numbers and our range is y such that y is an element of real numbers. Yan po. Such element of all real numbers po. Pero yun nga, mas nasanay kasi tayo minsan na interval notation po. From negative infinity up to the positive infinity po. Okay? Ganon din po si range. Automatic po na kapag if the graph extend infinitely in both directions po, the domain is set of all real numbers as well as the y po. Okay? Questions po. Ayan, madali lang siya pag nakakita agad kayo ng ganyang graph and you are asked to find the domain and range of this, you can simply write that x such that x is an element of all real numbers. And the range is y such that y is an element of all real numbers. Or you can write it in interval notation which is from negative infinity up to the positive infinity as well as the range po. Okay? Questions po for this first graph. Okay naman po? Okay. So kung walang question, I'll proceed. Ayan. So paano naman kung ganito po yung given natin? Siyempre, domain natin x such that x is an element of all real numbers. Okay? So, since it extends infinitely upward po. Okay? So, it extend infinitely upward po kasi siya. Okay? So, the lowest point naman po, ayan, ang range naman po natin, y such that y is greater than or equal to negative 2 po. Paano po, nasan po nanggaling si negative 2? Negative 2 po, ito po siya. Yung lowest point po natin. Okay po? Negative 2. And paano ko po nalaman na greater than or equal po siya? Kasi po, equal po kasi na-meet niya mismo. Kumbaga, wala akong invisible dyan. 'Di ba ganun po yung sa number line? Kapag po may shade yung point, ibig sabihin excluded. Pero kung ayan po ay may shade, ibig sabihin po included po si negative 2 sa solution po ng ating equation. Okay? And then kaya po siya greater than kasi po it opens upward po. Okay? Questions po. So if we're going to write this interval notation po, ayan, domain ko syempre, negative infinity up to the positive infinity. And our range is from negative 2 lang po up to the positive infinity. Okay? Kasi lahat sila, tignan nyo, yung dalawang graph, dalawang arrow po natin is naka-point po sila sa taas. It means positive po. Okay? Positive infinity po. Okay? And then start lang po tayo sa negative 2 since ayun po yung lowest point po natin. Okay? So kahit alin po dito yung pwede nyo isagot. Pwedeng ito yung isagot nyo or pwedeng ito or pwede rin namang sa range ito or pwede rin ito. It's up to you. Pero in my case po kasi, mostly ang students ko is ang sinasagot nila is itong interval notation kasi mas madali siya. Okay? Alamin mo lang yung lowest point. Okay? And then, positive infinity na siya. Okay? Kasi nga, upward yung graph natin. So, kung walang questions, I'll proceed. Ayan, paano naman po kapag ganitong curvy yung line natin? So, the graph extend infinitely upward po. So, the domain is x such that x is an element of all real numbers. Our range is y such that y is greater than or equal to -3. Saan po nanggaling si -3? Lowest point po natin. Okay? This will be -1. Hindi ko alam kung visible siya. -2 and -3. Okay? Kaya po siya nagkaroon ng -3. And again, since wala naman tayong nakitang gap, 'di ba? Wala tayong nakitang point na walang shade. It means it is included po in our solution. That's why we have equal po. Okay? And then greater than since it opens upward. Okay? So, if we're going to write this in interval notation po, so ito naman, syempre, si domain negative infinity up to the positive infinity. And for our range naman po, -3 up to the positive infinity. Okay? Questions po? Wala po. Make sure na naiintindihan po ha. Next. So, we have this one. Ayan, di ba? Yung, ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina. Ito may shade, ibig sabihin included siya. Ito po ay hindi. Okay? Kasi walang shade siya. So, we can say that our domain is x, ayan po, x such that x is, where x is greater than or equal to 5, but less than 6 po. Bakit po less than 6? Kasi po, kung napansin nyo, yung x niya, ayan, wait lang. Ito po. 'Di ba? Wala po siyang shade. Ibig sabihin, hindi po kasali si 6. Magsa-start kayo kay +5, pababa. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, and so on. Okay? Up to -5 lang po. Okay? Kasi ito may shade siya. Kasali po siya. Okay? And then, our range, and interval notation is -5 to 6 po. Okay? Ang range naman po natin will be y such that y equals to 4 po. Bakit po ayan lang? Kasi po, ayun lang po yung na-intersect natin dito sa y. Okay po? Questions po? Wala po. So, let's proceed kung wala. Last graph. Paano naman kung pa-downward? Kasi kanina, di ba, puro tayo pataas. Kaya yung domain natin is negative to positive infinity po siya. Ang domain pa rin natin will become x such that x is an element of all real numbers po. So, the graph extends infinitely downward. Ganun pa rin naman. Nagbe-base lang tayo kung para malaman natin kung greater than or less than po yung magiging sign natin for our range. Our range po will be y such that y is less than or equal to 4. Bakit po 4? Highest, lowest point. Kumbaga, baliktarin nyo. Kung kanina pataas po siya lahat, kinuha niyo yung lowest point. So, ito, downward po siya, kunin niyo yung highest point. 4 naman po. Okay? So, if we're going to write this in its interval notation, negative infinity to positive infinity, and our range po will become negative infinity up to positive 4. Okay? Bakit po nandun na siya sa dulo? Kasi hindi ko po pwedeng ilagay na positive 4 to positive infinity. Kasi pa-downward po siya. Okay? Pa-downward po siya. Ibig sabihin, all the negative integers is included po. Okay po? All the negative integers below 4, -4 is included for this given graph po. Okay? Questions po? Clarifications, if any? Baka po may questions. Siguraduhin pong naiintindihan ha. Next. Domain and range of a function represent by its function. Conditions to be exclude. Not allowed to happen. Ayan, wait lang, may nag-chat. Alin pong explain ulit? Yung last na graph po ba? Yung last na
Yung
graph.
pang yung pangalawa pong last,
Pangalawa sa last, wait lang. Ito po ba or hindi ito, yung isa pa?
yung isa pa po.
Yung merong ito.
Yes po.
Okay. Ayan po. So, ang domain po natin dito will be, ayan. So, kung nahihirapan po kasi kayo sa interval dito po, sa set builder notation natin, pwede po kayong mag-interval notation. Okay? -5 up to +6 po. And kung napansin nyo, yung ating bracket, 'di ba iba siya kaysa dito. Ibig sabihin po, excluded, kumbaga included po siya. Okay? So, si 6 excluded po. Okay? If you're going to represent it that way. So, dito kasi, bakit po ako nagkaroon ng -5 dyan and +6? Kasi dito po, si -5 is kasama po siya. May shade po siya. Ibig sabihin, kasama po siya sa domain ko. Okay po? And then, ito po, si +6 is excluded in my domain because our point there po has no shaded part. Wala siyang shade. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, I will start from -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hindi po kasama si +6. Kasi nga, less than 6 sabi. X is greater than or equal to -5 but less than 6 po. So, any values of x daw po na kumbaga mamimili ako doon sa specific domain na nilagay ko po. Okay, start kay -5 papunta kay +5 lang po. Okay? So, kay range naman po, y is equals to 4 po. Bakit po 4 lang po? Kasi po, ayun lang po ang na-intersect natin sa y natin. Okay? Unlike kasi sa iba na natatamaan natin ng ilang beses si y. 'Di ba? Hindi totally yung y-axis. Kumbaga, kapag po nagkakaroon tayo ng mga curvy line, may y po 'yun katulad nito. Ayan, kahit 'yan po, 'yan marami yang y kasi marami siyang curve eh. Katulad din nito. Okay? We're not literally intersecting the y-axis. Pero, as the graph shows po na nag extend siya infinitely upward po, it means na meron tayong point na x and y po. Okay? Unlike dito, sa ating fourth graph, sorry. So, ito po, as in, diretso lang siya. Kumbaga, parang sinabi niya na ito lang yung y ko, wala nang iba. Okay po, kasi yun lang yung na-intersect niya. And kung napansin nyo, straight line lang po siya. Okay? And yung values ng x niya will be from +5 up to -5 lang po. Okay? So, naintindihan naman na po ba?
Yes po.
Okay po. So, proceed na tayo ha. Delete ko lang yung drawings ko. So, domain and range of a function, ayan. So, conditions to be excluded. A denominator of 0, so bawal po siya. Getting the square root of a negative number, bawal din. Siyempre, kung magkakaroon tayo ng zero denominator, it will give us an undefined term or undefined equation po. Tama? Kapag naman po nagkaroon tayo ng negative number inside the square root or radical sign po, it will give us an imaginary po. Okay, kaya ayan yung dalawang bawal. Iniiwasan natin maging undefined at iniiwasan natin maging imaginary po. Okay? Find the domain and range of the following. Ayan na, nagkakaroon na tayo ng mga equation po. Paano hanapin si domain and si range po? So our domain for this one, it could be x such that x is an element of all real numbers and or pwede rin naman from negative infinity up to positive infinity po. And our range po will be y such that y is an element of real numbers and negative infinity up to the positive infinity po. So bakit po ako nagkaroon ng elements of all real numbers? Kahit ano daw pong i-substitute ko. As you can see, wala po kasi tayong denominator. Okay? So kahit ano pang i-substitute ko diyan, kay value of our x po, okay, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng undefined or imaginary answer po. Okay? Ito yung kagandahan eh, kapag ano lang siya, isang equation lang siya, wala siyang denominator or radical sign, you're just going to write like this lang po. Ganyan lang. 'Di ba? Kasi for example, ang sabihin natin ang napili kong x kasi ang sabi 'di ba, negative infinity to positive infinity. Let's say ang value ng x ko is um wait lang, text na lang. Let's say ang value ng x will be positive 3. So, if I substitute it to our given function po, ayan. So, if we have f of 3, x natin is 3 equals to 3 minus 5. Tama? So, if we're going to simplify this, it will become negative 2 po. Ibig sabihin, ang magiging partner po natin will be 3, 3 and negative 2 po. Ayan. Ayan yung ordered pair. Kasi 'di ba si x, ginagamit natin siya to solve for our y po. Okay? Ginagamit natin yung value of x for us to find out what is the value of our y. Paano po naging negative 2? Kasi po, 3 minus 5 po ate, negative 2 po. Okay? 'Di ba kahit ano i-substitute ko dyan, it will not give us undefined or imaginary answer po. Ayun lang naman yung dapat yung tandaan dito sa domain and range of a function po. You have to always remember that the function should never be undefined or should never be unimaginary po. Okay po? Questions po before I proceed with the next example. Questions, clarifications po?
None po.
Wala pa, okay po. So, I'll proceed. Make sure na wala pong question, ha? Another example, ayan. F of x is equals to 1 over x plus 2. So, what is our domain? Actually, this is also related with our previous lesson in first quarter about the rational expression or equation po. X plus 2 is not equal to 0. So the denominator must not be equal to 0. So therefore, we can say that any values of x, ayan po siya kung isusulat natin siya. X is an element of all real numbers such that x should not be equal to negative 2. So ibig sabihin lang po niyan, kahit ano daw pong value of x ang ilagay ko pwede except for negative 2. Bakit po bawal si negative 2 i-substitute kay x? Because that will make our function undefined. Okay po? So, saan po nanggaling si negative 1 and negative 2 po? So, from negative infinity up to the negative 1 to the union of negative 2 and, ayan, sorry, negative 1. Tanggalin ko siya, sorry. Negative 2 din. Bakit ako nagkaroon ng negative 1? Ayan. Ayan. So, if we're going to get the range po, you're just going to think of a value of x that will make the denominator 0. And, syempre, not equal po yung ilalagay ninyo. Kasi nga, ayun yung dapat nating iwasan. Okay? All real numbers, either it is negative or positive, can be substitute to our given function, except for negative 2 po. Okay, so if we're going to write it in terms of interval notation, negative infinity up to negative infinity to the union of negative 2 up to the positive infinity. Ayan, nagkakaroon na tayo ng union for this time. Okay, naintindihan po kung paano nakuha si domain? Understood po ba, grade 8? Okay naman. So, sige po. Next, let's have the range. Express y in terms of x. So, yung f of x natin, we can just change it in y po. And then, cross-multiply na lang po para mas mabilis. Y times x plus 2 and then distributive. Xy plus 2y equals to 1. Okay po? And then, dito po, ang hinahanap natin is range. So, ibig sabihin, kung range po yung hinahanap natin, we have to find the value of our y. Tama po? Kasi y is range, x is domain. Tama po? So, we have to find the value of our y. So, ibig sabihin, we have to transpose xy. Ayan. Okay? Xy po. Ayan. Actually, pwede niyong kunin dyan. Ayan po. So, x po kasi, ay sorry, x yung hinahanap natin. Kasi nga, sinubstitute lang po natin siya. Okay? So, ang goal po kasi natin dito is for us to have y variable. Ayun po yun. Ayan, medyo magulo lang kanina. Yun nga, yun yung pinaka gusto kong sabihin and the end. Kasi 'di ba dito, kinukuha natin yung domain natin in terms of x, 'di ba? So, we have to get the range in terms of y po. Since range is y, tama? Ang y values natin, y values is our range. So, dito po, ayan, pinalitan lang natin siya. And eliminate natin. Kumbaga, dapat ito, ang magiging goal nyo dito is x. Bakit nyo po siya gagawing x? Bakit kailangan x yung kukunin ko? Kasi nga, kailangan on this side po is lahat y naman po. Okay? Kumbaga, inverse nitong isang 'to. Okay? Nung ating main function. So, we have to eliminate y po na kasama kasi nga x yung hinahanap dito. We have to change this y po. And express y in terms of x. Okay? Kumbaga, substitute niya lang. Okay? Pero y pa rin siya. So, ito na po siya. So, ibig sabihin, our range is from negative infinity up to the positive, negative infinity up to 0 to the union of 0 up to the positive infinity. Okay, kasi bakit po siya 0? Kasi y na po yung denominator natin. So, in terms of finding the range, we're just going to look at the new equation na na-derive po natin. Okay? So, dito na po tayo titingin ulit. Okay po? So, ano kaya yung dapat naming iwasan to make our denominator 0? So, syempre 0 siya kasi y lang naman yung denominator natin. Okay po? So, ayun po. Questions po in finding the range. Questions, clarifications po.
None po.
Sigurado po ha. Okay. Wait lang. Clear ko lang. Okay, so last example in finding the domain and range. We have here f of x is equals to 1 over 3x minus 2. Sige nga po, try to solve for its domain. Kahit interval notation or self-builder notation, it's up to you po. Ano kaya yung ating magiging domain for this one po? Try to solve po. Ano kaya ang domain? Ano po ang ating domain? Ayan, wait lang, may nag-chat. Ayan. So, yun, opo, yung para makuha po si domain, isolve nyo lang po si 3x minus 2 po or yung denominator natin. Ano kaya yung um, what do you think the value of x that will make our undefined, that will make our function undefined or that will make our denominator 0? Ano kaya yung magpapa-undefined dito? Actually, we're just simply looking for the value of x. So, we will get 3x. Okay? So, 3x minus 2. Ayan. Okay. Very good, Ina. So, it is 2/3. Okay. Very good. Ayan. 2/3 po siya. Diba para lang tayo naghahanap ng value of x since domain naman po siya. Okay? Next po for our y. Ganun din po. For our y po, we have to have y equals to 1 over 3x minus 2. Wait lang. 3x minus 2 po. Okay? Next po, cross multiplication tayo. Let's have, and then we will have y times 3x minus 2 equals to 1. Tama? And then, simplify lang po. We will be having 3xy minus 2y equals to 1. Okay? Next step po, since we are solving for y in since we are expressing y in terms of x, so x po yung hahanapin natin. Okay? So, we have to transpose po natin si 2y. So, we will be having 3xy equals 1 minus 2y. Ay, sorry, plus 2y. Okay po? And then, since may kasama pa po si x natin, now 3y po, we have to divide all sides by 3y. Okay, ayan, 3y. Divide natin siya kay 3y. Okay? Next po, cancel out po yan. So, ang magiging final answer natin will become x equals to 1 plus 2y 2y over 3y. Okay. So, do you think what is the value of our y that will make our function undefined? Ano kaya yun? O, andyan na po siya. Nasa harapan yun. Ano po ang magiging range natin kung ito na yung function natin? So, syempre, ano yung gagawin, kumbaga, ano yung substitute ko kay y na kapag pinalit ko dyan or kapag sinubstitute ko is magiging 0 yung denominator ko. So, syempre, 0 lang. Okay? Ayan po. Ang range ko will become, ayan, delete ko lang ha. Our range is y is an element of all real numbers such that y is not equal to 0. Bakit po not equal to 0? Kasi 'di ba yung denominator natin kanina is 3y. So ano ba yung pag minultiply ko kay 3 magiging 0 yung answer? Syempre 0 lang po. Kahit sabi mong negative 'yan, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, hindi po siya magiging undefined. Okay po? Questions po? Clarifications, grade 8? Meron po ba? May questions po ba, grade 8? So, kung walang questions, so that's the end of today's lesson about domain and range.